It was a chilly autumn evening when I stumbled upon the abandoned mansion at the edge of town. The overgrown vines that clung to its walls and the broken windows seemed to tell a story of neglect and time. Despite its eerie appearance, I couldn't resist the urge to explore its mysteries. The sun had set, casting long shadows across the mansion's overgrown garden as I cautiously pushed open the creaking front door. A musty smell hung in the air, and the only light came from the faint glow of the moon filtering through the broken windows. I explored the dimly lit hallways, my footsteps echoing through the silence. Each room I entered was filled with remnants of a forgotten past, tattered curtains, dusty furniture, and peeling wallpaper. As I ascended the grand staircase, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was not alone. It was in one of the upper bedrooms that I saw her, a spectral figure standing by the window. She wore a flowing white gown that seemed to shimmer in the moonlight. Her hair cascaded down her shoulders, and her eyes held a sorrow that sent a chill down my spine. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice trembling as I tried to make sense of the ethereal presence before me. She didn't answer with words, but her gaze seemed to pierce through me. Images flashed in my mind, a story of a young woman who had lived in this mansion long ago. Her name was Eleanor, and she had been waiting for something, or someone. As I absorbed her story, I felt a mixture of fear and empathy. Eleanor's spirit had lingered in the mansion, unable to move on from her earthly ties. The passage of time had blurred the lines between the living and the dead, and I had unwittingly stumbled into her world. The room grew colder, and a whisper carried on. The wind reached my ears. "Help me!" Eleanor's voice echoed, her plea echoing through the stillness. I knew I couldn't ignore her plea. With a determination I didn't know I possessed, I vowed to uncover the truth behind Eleanor's restless spirit. Through dusty archives and forgotten records, I pieced together her story, a tragic tale of unrequited love and betrayal. Eleanor had been in love with a young artist who had promised her forever, but he had disappeared without a trace, leaving her heartbroken and alone. The pain and betrayal had anchored her spirit to the mansion, where she had waited for decades. Armed with the knowledge of Eleanor's past, I returned to the mansion, the weight of her story heavy on my shoulders. As I stood in the room where I had first encountered her, I closed my eyes and whispered, "Eleanor, I know your story. You don't have to wait any longer." The air grew tense, and a soft breeze rustled through the room. Eleanor's figure appeared before me, her expression a mixture of surprise and relief. "You understand," she murmured, her voice barely audible. "I do," I replied, my voice filled with sincerity. "It's time to let go, Eleanor." With those words, a radiant light enveloped Eleanor's form. It was as if the weight that had bound her to the mansion had finally been lifted. Her figure began to fade, and a sense of peace settled over the room. "Thank you," her voice echoed one last time, the words a faint whisper on the wind. And then, she was gone, leaving behind a sense of tranquility that I had not felt since I had entered the mansion. The atmosphere seemed lighter, as if the mansion itself had sighed in relief. As I left the mansion behind, I couldn't help but reflect on the encounter. The boundary between the living and the dead was thin, and sometimes all it took was a listening ear and a compassionate heart to help a lost soul find their way. The abandoned mansion was no longer a place of darkness and despair. It was a testament to the power of understanding, empathy, and the unbreakable connection between the past and the present. And as I walked away, I couldn't help but wonder if Eleanor had finally found the peace she had been searching for all those years.